you're perfect to me. Ooh, no one makes me feel like you do. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I just wanna be with you. Oh, no one's ever made me feel so happy. Baby, you are all that I need. Stay with me, please. For eternity, baby, hey, I can't live without you. No matter how I try, I just can't live without you, baby. I can't live without you. I can't live without you.
When you came into my life, yeah, yeah. I knew fate was on our side, yeah. Love is a natural thing, yeah, yeah. Oh, and what love you bring,
No one's ever
made
made me
me feel
happy.
so happy.
You are all that
All that I need. Stay with me, please.
for
Oh,
eternity,
baby,
baby,
hey, I can't.
No matter how hard I try,
No matter how hard I try,
I just can't live without you, baby. I can't live without you. I can't live without you. I can't live without you. No, I can't. Yeah.
It's so wonderful to hear him being so tender and so gentle on a vocal, especially alongside Monewa. That was Vusinova featuring Monewa with this one. Without You is the name of that particular album. Beautiful way for us to kick off our Monday today. And hope you had a great weekend. There was a lot of I guess, for lack of a better word, a lot of excitement on the international landscape over the course of the weekend. Lots happening, and I'm sure Ashraf is going to digest all of that with you later on in the day. But yeah, listen, we made it to the other side. It's a brand new week. Lots of possibilities, lots of things that we need to accomplish this week. And I hope that you on your side as well are entering the week on a good note and starting off with some good vibrations this week. So what's coming up on the show today, you ask? We are going to be catching up with Jennifer Barkhazen. and we're going to be finding out more about the Managed Integrity Evaluation that has released a 2023 annual background screening index report, and we'll find out exactly what people are screening for and what could be some of the potential reasons as to why people are screening for the things that they are screening for. We're also going to be catching up with an NGO. They've got a campaign that they're driving. It's the High Five Dictionary #Read for Meaning campaign, and we'll find out more from them about that particular one. And then we'll catch up with the folks from the city of Johannesburg, who are amongst the headline sponsors for the Joburg Ladies Open, Birdies for Dignity. We'll find out more about that. If you are a golfer or a golf enthusiast, that is definitely for you. On the other side of 2 o'clock, we take a look at all things career, and we're going to be catching up with celebrity stylist and businesswoman Papama is going to be joining us, and she is a creative director and fashion stylist. We'll get to know more about her journey. She's the name behind the apparel that you've probably seen, Africa, Your Time Is Now. She's going to be joining us for that conversation, but I'll tell you more in detail what's coming up on the other side of 2. 086 000 2032. That's the number that you can call us on, or 061 410 4107. That is our WhatsApp line. Let's take a quick break. We'll come right back.
If you're active on social media and love SAFM, we hope you'll take a moment to like or follow our SAFM page on Facebook and Twitter. These are the best places to find all the guest information, conversations, and stories you love from your favorite presenters, along with regular updates from SABC News. And don't forget, you can send your questions to feedback@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation. Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
It is the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM, leading the conversation. And of course, we are live streaming across our social media platforms as we usually do. So if you are on X, Facebook, Instagram, as well as safm.co.za, you can catch the live stream broadcast there, and maybe even catch a glimpse of some of our guests in and out of studio. We're catching up with Jennifer Buckhazen, who's the head of marketing at MIE, and the Managed Integrity Evaluation. They've released the 2023 Annual Background Screening Index report, and the report showcases various background screening and vetting trends in South Africa. I'm not surprised that amongst some of the most requested are criminal record checks as well as qualifications checks. And Jennifer is joining me now on the line. How are you doing this afternoon, Jennifer?
Good afternoon, Bridget. I'm doing very well. Thanks yourself.
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you. All right. Let's start firstly by understanding what is the MIE Annual Background Screening Index Report, and what value does this particular report provide for businesses?
So the MIE Annual Background Screening Index Report is really a report where we put together findings from the previous year. So we look at the type of verifications that were submitted to MIE by our clients. We look at various industry trends that might affect the company's employment decisions and also affect recruitment. So it's basically a summary of what has happened during the year, that specific year, in terms of background screening and other factors related to the background screening industry.
Yeah. And I mean, what were amongst the most requested checks from 2023?
So, as you rightly mentioned, criminal verifications remains the most requested check within MIE. In 2023, we finalized over 990,000 criminal checks throughout the year. And this showcases the importance of that check and the companies valuing that type of information about the companies that they are about the individuals that they are allowing into their organization. So that's really important. Other checks that was done, and which is also very popular, is your qualification checks to make sure that the people have the correct qualification for the position that they're applying for. ID verification is very important to make sure that the people you are hiring are who they say they are. And then we've also seen quite a substantial increase in the request for employment history checks, where people are actually now going and taking the time to vet the previous employment history of a candidate to make sure that that information is also true and correct.
Yeah. And tell me, does this also indicate a sense of, I guess, distrust in the information that people are presenting to potential employers?
Yes, unfortunately, there are many cases, many incidents where candidates are putting forward false and incorrect information. And if a company hires a person like that, they do run the risk of not only financial harm to the organization, but also they need to mitigate their reputational risk before hiring someone. If you are hiring a person which is not qualified, they don't have the correct skills, it can cost you a lot of money, and time is also money, because you take time, invest in that person, you've gone through the recruitment process, you've gone through training, and when that person actually needs to start doing the job, they are not equipped to do it. They don't have the skills, they don't have the qualifications, and companies need to mitigate this risk beforehand. We are also seeing an increasing trend on companies no longer just doing background screening checks prior to employing somebody, but also during their employ, to make sure that if there is any changes in that, let's call it the profile of the candidate that you are employing, that you are aware of that.
And I mean, I guess, as we sort of have this conversation, what comes to mind is some of the high-profile cases that we've seen in some select government institutions, some municipalities, as well as private companies, where executives have peddled falsehoods in as far as their qualifications, their experiences, and even, I think it was in the Northwest Province about a month ago, in as far as identity as well. But that also speaks to then there maybe being a disconnect in some institutions in as far as doing a background and credentials check and ultimately hiring the person, because at some level I would think that it just becomes standard practice, especially at executive level, for you to do these kind of checks.
Most definitely. And we, from our side, we really urge companies to make sure that they have a screening policy in place. This screening policy should really cover all aspects of pre-employment screening, as well as screening during your employ. Because if you have appointed a person 5 years ago and all their background screening checks checked out, so you check the qualification, you've checked the ID, you've checked the criminal record history, and everything came back positive. Now, during the employ, that person can, do further studies, or they might have got into some trouble with the law. Anything can change at any time. And if you, especially within the government department, let's take that for an example. Yeah. You need to have a certain qualification to be taken into consideration for a promotion. Then you can then falsely claim that you have done that qualification, and they can take it at face value because you've been in their employ for 5 or 10 years. But it's only to get the promotion, and you don't check that because you take it as face value and you trust the person. And that's why we encourage companies to make sure that you recheck that qualification was actually indeed obtained by that individual. And that's why rescreening is so important. And there was also various legislative changes during 2023 in various industries where it is mandatory for companies that fall within a certain industry to do annual background screening checks on their employees. So it's important for companies to have these policies in place, make sure everybody goes through the same rigorous process of being onboarded. All the checks have been done, checks and balances sheet have been done, and you are sitting with the best candidates, and you as an organization are complying with whatever your industry needs to comply with.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, if we had to do it as on-air presenters, then there's no reason why no one else shouldn't have to do it at all. And then tell me, Jennifer, you mentioned that you've also seen a trend in companies' employment processes, or how the information that you guys gather affects companies' employment processes. Can you illuminate for us a little bit on that?
Yes, it's really important that you understand the feedback that you are given in terms of the the background screening. But ultimately, it remains the decision of the company that submitted the background screening check to MIE to make the final decision. And it's also important for these companies to know exactly what to look out for. People sometimes have a misconception that background screening is checking whether a person has a qualification or doing a criminal record check. However, it's so much more. If you take companies that needs to do everything in their power to keep the people that they're associated with safe, and we can look at the National Register for Sex Offenders. These industries need to make sure that they have the correct policies and procedures in place when it goes through onboarding a new candidate. It was implemented that the educational industry had to check if they have to check whether an individual is a registered sex offender against the Register for National Sex Offenders. And if they are not allowed to be employed in that position, because now we need to keep the children safe. However, it's gone further to say it's not only children anymore, but it's also vulnerable persons and people living with disabilities. If you are appointing somebody to look after these, let's call it, vulnerable people, whether it's children, sickly, disabled people, you need to make sure that that person doesn't have a dark background working with this, because we need to keep those people safe.
Absolutely.
They are looking after them. And that is the importance of knowing what to do. Another trend that we've also seen is, if you're looking more on the psychometric side of things, companies still value doing integrity tests on individuals before hiring them, because they want to ensure the people they are appointing has high ethical standards and they are trustworthy.
Yeah.
And with that, the companies will get the best workforce, honest workforce, the most skilled workforce, if they go through these processes, understand everything that is available to them to get a clear understanding of the person that you are employing, and also whether it meets the requirements of your organization.
Absolutely. I mean, just a little extra cash, but it could save you in the long run a hell of a lot of headaches. Let's talk also about social media. Has there also been an increase in social media screening? We know how candidates like to think that, the two are separate, but really our social media presence and characters are sometimes taken rather seriously by potential employers.
Most definitely, and we have definitely seen an upward trend when it comes to social media screening. I also do think that there is some misconception with regards to social media screening, saying that, what I do on social media doesn't need to be seen by everybody, but everybody forgets that it's an open platform.
Yeah.
It's an open platform. If you put something on social media, it's out there, unless your privacy settings is at its highest point. But social media screening is not just there to see if you can dig up dirt on somebody. Social media provides you with additional information on a candidate. You might not have on your CV that you are involved with the community, but you are doing or you're applying for a position where you don't think it's relevant. However, that might come to light, and it will give the potential employer, let's call it that, just more information about you as a person. Also, it can also highlight negatives, unprofessional conduct. And if you don't want to be associated with a person like that, you will not employ them. So it's really important that people don't think that social media screening is just bad and it's just negative. It does give you more information on a candidate, and it also reduces the risk of hiring an unprofessional candidate. And it was very surprising that the 2023 statistics show that the most requested social media checks came from various government departments within South Africa. Oh. So that's quite a positive thing, I think, for us to look forward to make sure that people that's being employed in government, they're really doing their part to get the best the best possible people with the positions within governments, and we're really hoping that this will show and pay off in the years to come.
Absolutely. I mean, you've definitely given us a whole lot of information to consider regarding the 2023 Annual Background Screening Index. Jennifer Buckhazen, thank you so much for the time this afternoon. And Jennifer is the head of marketing at MIE. So, just on that point, as we finish up the conversation, by the way, if you are listening to us, regarding social media, we've had lots of conversations along this path with our social media legal expert, and you can go back to our podcast on safm.co.za underneath our tab, The Full Circle, and rewind back on that conversation just to get some clarity for yourself in as far as your responsibility on and offline. There's no such thing as I tweet what I like in my own capacity. That does not exist at all to your employer. And if you don't take our word for it, definitely you will take the word of our legal expert. We've had about 2-3 conversations around that. And Musa is standing by with the headline news.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 104.3 FM in Rustenburg. SAFM supports a litter-free South Africa. Play your part in keeping our surroundings and environment clean. SAFM, leading the conversation.
A look now at the headlines at 1:30. The EFF has brought an application before the Western Cape High Court seeking a declaratory order which, if successful, seeks to pave the way for MPs who've been physically manhandled by Parliament's protection services to sue for damages. 4 people have died while extensive damage has been caused to roads, electricity and water infrastructure after a severe thunderstorm caused flooding in the Margate area in KwaZulu-Natal. And Nigeria's grid has collapsed for the 5th time this year in the early hours of today. I'm Greg Khos. I'll have a full update at 2 o'clock.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.1 FM in Bombela. You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
It is the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM, leading the conversation on this fine Monday afternoon. We're going to catch up now with the founder of Stepping Together Community Program. And Stepping Together is an NPO that partners with other community stakeholders to offer community support as well as development under different portfolios, namely in the arenas of early childhood development, youth, men, and women. And we thought we'd catch up with the founder this afternoon, Ndalo Matebula, who, as I understand, is in Tzaneen at the moment, currently rolling out this campaign for 2024. How are you doing, Ndalo? You good?
Thank you, Bridget. I am good, and thanks for welcoming me. And good afternoon to your listeners.
It's only but a pleasure. All right, give us some context, as to a brief background on your organization and some of the work that you've undertaken since inception.
All right, thank you so much, Bridget. Basically, by profession, I'm a speech therapist, and some years back, after qualifying, I realized that as I was working in schools that could afford our services, that a lot of teachers and parents need to be assisted in the area of early reading. So basically, when I was still a speech therapist, I decided to actually even check in the village schools. When I was still working, I realized that a lot of parents and teachers, they still need extra support with early reading material and stuff. So that's how the passion started, when I realized that there's a gap and there's a need. So basically, Stepping Together community program was then started under this portfolio, early childhood development, where we started to reach out to schools, tell them about how you can actually get kids to be excited about reading. And that's how it actually started. And we've been reaching out to village schools, and we go around and also partner with other stakeholders. So basically, we don't do it alone. We do it with other stakeholders in the communities, like your businesses and other individuals who have a heart for development.
Yeah, and since your inception around 2014, you've had a consistent sort of run with your campaigns and your programs. But of course, COVID-19 then put a step on things. And have you found your footing post COVID-19? Or are you sort of back to regular programming again?
Basically, we are halfway there. We are finding our way back into rolling the program with approaching sponsors. We are winning in a way, because post-COVID, really, it really looked like it was a new program, whereas it actually wasn't a new program. But through the sponsorships that we got from individuals that I approached, we are starting to reach out, and now, which is why we are in Zanin. So from that time, things are going a bit slow, but we are finding our feet back, and the program is rolling slowly but surely. We just still need to continue approaching stakeholders and other people who are for development in their communities.
Yeah. Before we get an understanding of the campaign that you're currently driving, the High Five Dictionary Challenge, also talk to us about, funds and resources. Primarily what kind of assistance do you need in this regard? And then where does it ultimately go to? You speak of materials and resources that are needed for some of your support campaigns.
So basically, with this campaign, we use parents or parent component when we come to a school. So these parents, they need to be trained, they need to be given resources that learners are going to use to actually participate into the program. So there is printing of dictionaries, there's games that we use, like alphabet games and language games. So all those things they need to be prepared, so that the parents are able to access them and get this program rolling. So because it's village schools and township schools, we know the socioeconomic status sometimes doesn't allow for parents to be the ones who can fund this program. So we actually then get our sponsors to actually pay for this material, because we've got our service provider who actually prepares all these literacy packs and resources that we need. So we do it via CSI initiatives, or from individual sponsors who can actually put in some funds for these resources to be paid for. So from there, it's then taken to the parents. Then we show the parents how it works for the kids to participate in the High Five Dictionary Challenge.
Yeah. And like you say, you are in the Tzaneen region at the moment, and you're currently rolling out your 2024 campaign there, and you focus primarily on rural areas as well as disenfranchised areas. Talk to us about the High Five Dictionary Challenge, #Read for Meaning.
So, yes, we are very excited about that, because we trying to challenge learners to read with meaning in mind, because we know that research in the past years has shown that a lot of South African kids are reading without meaning. So we are saying that as you learn to read, you are going to seek for meaning for the words that you have picked from your reading. So basically, we have the two cartoons, Mimi and Fifi, which it's a boy and a girl cartoon that gets the kids excited about learning words. So at the end of reading probably a booklet, there are different reading materials that we use, or using a game, we show them how they can extract 5 words and get to learn and discover the meaning for those words. So the High Five Dictionary book, it's more like a template or a journal where they must feed the book with the words that they are learning. So the High Five part is where we say they must actually push to learn at least 5 words per letter. As you know that we've got A up to Z, and so when they learn the letter A, they should at least push to learn 5 words before they move to the next letter. So basically that's the challenge they get. The nice and exciting part about this program is that we get the parents and the teachers who are assisting to get the kids into the mode of collecting toys. As you reach 5 words, you collect like stationary toys that gets them excited, so that they feel like they want to move to the next letter, and it really gets excited for them. As you know, in the foundation phase, playing is learning.
Absolutely.
So a lot of kids get to love this because it feels like there is so much fun in doing it.
Absolutely. I mean, we all need a little incentive in order to excel in our lives. Ntalo Matebula, it sounds like you are doing absolutely incredible work, and Ntalo is the founder of Stepping Together Community Program. If you like what you heard this afternoon, and literacy is at the top of your agenda, both as a private individual as well as a company, perhaps you want to get behind this, throw your resources behind it, you can definitely be in contact with them, or be in contact with us, and we'll put you in touch with them directly. Stepping Together Community Program by Ntalo Matebula. Let's take a quick break here. It's 20 to 2 o'clock as our next guest comes through and settles in, and then we'll talk around the Joburg Ladies Open.
Makoti Down Products is a proudly South African family business, started more than 30 years ago with 12 geese and a piece of material. Makoti manufactures duvets, pillows, sleeping bags, and high-quality Egyptian cotton linen. Our down products are suitable for people with dust mite allergies and come with a lifelong guarantee. And we offer a nationwide cleaning service for all your feather and down products. Visit us at makoti.co.za or call us on 041 992 395. For quality down, Makoti Down.
For the first time in 30 years, the ANC is set to lose its majority. Opposition parties have united as the multi-party charter for South Africa.
A strong democratic alliance with a proven track record
Can anchor a new government that serves the people.
But a new government that works is only possible if you vote for it. Let's unite and rescue South Africa. Vote DA.
This political party advertisement was paid for by the political party concerned. The views expressed in this advertisement are those of the political party and not those of the SABC.
Nna lebitso la ka ke Bonolo Moahlodi ba ntse ba re ke Miss B, morara Miss T, Moahlodi, the Bonnie B Bonbon. And we'll be now playing Kena on Mondays at 4:30. The day has changed, but the time slot hasn't. So if you're interested in news that's happening with us kids and our peers around the world, don't forget to tune in. See you there.
SAFM Sunrise with Stephen Grootes.
Where did you intercept these people? Where were they coming from?
From the 1st of April to the 4th. In a period of 4 days, this is when the majority of these people had been intercepted, and I can indicate that the majority of this had fairly been intercepted on the North Corridor, around the Beitbridge area with Zimbabwe, and that was fairly followed by the Eastern Corridor in terms of our border with Mozambique, around Libombo, and of course the third in terms of the number has been around Lesotho in the Fixbeck Maseru area. So that is fairly the areas through which most of the people had been intercepted.
Mr. Commissioner, thank you. Dr. Michael Masiapato is the Commissioner at the Border Management Authority.
SAFM Sunrise with Stephen Grootes, 6 to 9 a.m. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Okay, let's shift gears for just a second and delve into the lifestyle arena. And we're catching up with the Director of Events for the City of Johannesburg. And, of course, the tournament promoter and one of the headline sponsors for the Joburg Ladies Open. And the Joburg Ladies Open is going to see over 100 of the world's finest female golfers compete for glory over 4 days of top-tier golfing action. And they bill it as being beyond just the riveting sport. It actually carries a profound message resonating with the theme of restoring dignity for a girl child. And we've got Mebongi Mokaba joining me now, who's the Director of Events for the City of Johannesburg. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you for having us.
It's only a pleasure. Okay, exciting things, this. Talk to us about, the Joburg Ladies Open, firstly. This is not the first.
No. This is actually year 9 that the City of Joburg has supported this tournament. We first started in 2016. Then it was a Sunshine Tour Ladies Tournament only.
Yes.
Up until 2002, when we first co-sanctioned with the Ladies European Tour. We're actually on year 3 now of the co-sanctioning, but hosting the tournament, this is the 9th year.
Now, what is co-sanctioning? Does that mean we are in partnership with the Ladies European Tour?
We are in partnership with the Ladies European Tour. So for this week, we're having 120 professional golfers that will be playing starting from Thursday to Sunday. And we've got a split. Some are from Europe and across the world. They are members of the Ladies European Tour. The others are from South Africa and members of the Sunshine Ladies Tour.
I see.
So that is where the co-sanctioning starts. But further defining the co-sanctioning is that it elevates the status of the tournament because as players continue playing, they get world rankings. So that is what the co-sanctioning means for the tournament.
My apologies for that, Mambongi. A bug just, infiltrated my phone and decided to interrupt you there. My apologies for that. I don't know what happened there. All right. Sounds very interesting. Now, this is beyond just, top golfers coming together, because there is that sort of plow back component to it that speaks to this year's theme. Yes.
What we've done, starting in last year, in fact, we came up with a campaign that we call Baddies for Dignity. And a baddie basically means golf course has 3 types of hole. A short hole, which is a par 3. Then you have the medium size, which is a par 4. Then you have the longer holes, which are par 5s.
Yeah.
Now, if one gets a baddie, it means on a par 3, you would have hit your tee shot onto the green, into the hole. That's a baddie. Par 4, less 4 is a baddie, less 5 is a baddie.
Okay.
So each time professional golfers make baddies, we're going to have a tally of how many baddies have been made on each day. And then financial contribution is going to be made towards those baddies. Then we use those funds to add to what our sponsors have provided. SPA has come to the party. They're providing us with sanitary towels. Dove is providing us with toiletries, and these would be given to the Bramley Primary School on Monday. So even the guests that are coming to the tournament, players themselves, ordinary public that is coming to the tournament, we've requested that everybody makes a contribution, bring a packet of sanitary towels, bring toiletries, and all these we will then package after the tournament and be ready to deliver to the Bramley Primary School on Monday.
You see, now that makes golf sound far more interesting than just the pursuit of a little white ball.
Absolutely, because Bridget, I always say to people, sex is a choice.
Yes.
Getting a period is not a choice, know. So when these young girls get their periods, most of them, at times they miss school, at times some of them use newspapers, some use clothes.
Yeah.
So we felt it is important because even the golfers themselves go through the miseries of getting cramps and stuff like that during the periods whilst they play in golf. So they understand what it takes. But we want to retain the dignity of a girl child to say whether they are having a period, they don't have to miss school. And we're saying it can't just be golf only. Let's have a social responsibility program, which then tallies with some of the strategic directions that the city of Johannesburg is taking.
Yeah, and I love that as well, Mebongi, because I mean it speaks to the role in sports, in affecting real tangible change within our communities. And sometimes we speak about it, but then it kind of gets lost in just the moment of the game and doesn't really extend into the communities that it's needed to extend into.
It's true, because if we don't do this, take for instance, we're not only running Baddies for Dignities, but we look at other small initiatives that are happening, particularly around the golf courses where we host these tournaments. A couple of years, we used a lady from Diepsloot. She uses PVA material that they use for billboards, processes that and converts that into handbags. And we've supported that business, which is Glow Collections. This year, we found a distilling company in the Modofontein area. They're producing gin, they're producing local beer, and we've brought them. So they are going to be, during the tournament, positioned at the Spectator Village, and people who are coming to watch the tournament are going to be able to purchase, enjoy what is locally manufactured. That is our position as the city, to say it just can't be about golf, but we need to be able to ensure that society benefits.
Absolutely.
We've got young people that we've brought in that are working as casual staff during the tournament, but we're upskilling them because they're learning skills that they would not have ordinarily have, because from the time we start planning the tournament, we plan with them. So we're expanding beyond the game itself.
I love it. All right, like in our closing, there's a lot of exciting things that the city of Johannesburg does, and this is definitely one of them. How important is it from just that perspective as well? Joburg placing itself as a global, fabulous metro city that's always vibrant, always hip and happening. And I would figure that events like this also speak to that and creating sort of that attraction for Johannesburg, even on an international stage.
Bridget, that is important for us because, one, we have television coverage for the tournament. So television coverage goes up to Sunday. For the first time, the tournament is going to be hosted for a period of 4 days, whilst across the world we've been doing 3 days. Now, secondly, is that all these players that are coming from all over the world end up being ambassadors of Johannesburg, because whether they win or not, the experience that they get from the hospitality of the people of Johannesburg makes them our own ambassadors. But through the tournament, we're getting global exposure, we're able to contribute to the economy, we're able to create employment opportunities. So all those things, when people across the world are looking at this tournament, they're not looking all the challenges that we're having as a country. They're not looking at all the challenges we're having as a city. They're looking at the capabilities of the city in partnership with the Sunshine Tour and the Sunshine Ladies Tour to be able to promote and deliver on these international tournaments, because the level of standards that we're applying is international standards that we're looking at. And those are the skills and the experiences that are available within the city. But having said that, people need to come and watch the tournament.
You've got 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Let us know where the tournament is playing, or what's the easiest portal people can go through to get tickets.
Sunshine Tour website, www.sunshinetour.com. That's where the tickets are available. Download that, get your free ticket, and then drive yourself to Stone Ridge. It's a mall behind Greenstone in the Modofontein area. There's a park and ride facility that is available at no cost. Then people will be shuttled to the tournament. We expect more people to come. Let people come and witness what South Africa is capable of, what Johannesburg delivers, and see how these young girls make golf look easy.
I mean, listen, Mebongi, if you can find an ice cream sponsor to come on board there with some free ice cream during the course of the day, I will be your number one ambassador. That was Mayor Bongi Mokaba, who is the Director of Events for the City of Johannesburg. A beautiful 4 days here with the ladies of the Joburg Ladies Open. Birdies for dignity. And remember, don't forget those dignity packs if you come through and watch the golf. All right. On that note, it's Kids Corner, which will take us to the top of the hour. And then Greg Khoos is coming through with your 2 o'clock news.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM. This program is brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hi, my name is Daniel Hood. I personally think I'm a better listener than a speaker, and that I'm better at taking instructions than giving instructions. What makes it hard for me to follow instructions is that I get confused easily, and it'll make it harder for me to follow those instructions. I don't really feel anything when I give instructions. Sometimes, depending on the instructions, I'll sometimes get annoyed or, I don't usually get up immediately when I get an instruction. It usually depends on what the instruction is. So if I'm told to wash dishes, then I won't immediately get up and go do the dishes, because who likes doing dishes anyway? When my teacher gives me an instruction, I do it almost immediately because I am very scared of my teachers and very scared of getting shouted at, especially by teachers. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Zamanga Zamiana. Today I will be talking about if I am a good listener or a good speaker. I'd say I'm a good listener and a good speaker. I try my best to follow instructions, but sometimes I just need a little clarification or repetition. What makes it hard for me to follow instructions is if they are too complicated or vague. When I receive instructions, I feel a sense of responsibility to complete the task. I usually get up and start working on it right away, especially if it's something important or time sensitive. My teacher gives me instructions that I need to follow, and it's going well so far. I'm learning to listen carefully and ask questions when needed. I hope you guys learned something new today. Thank you for listening. See you. Bye. See you next time.
Hello, my name is Dembele Madam, 9 years and I'm in grade 3. Yes, I am a good listener. Yes, I do listen carefully and attentively when people talk to me. Yes, I think it is important to make eye contact when people talk to you, because it is extremely rude to look away when people are talking to you. When someone is talking to me, I listen to understand. There was a time where I gave my parents irrelevant answers when they were asking me questions. What caused that is because I was not concentrating and I was busy with my phone.
My name is Katlawi and I'm 12 years old. I do think that I'm a good listener. I do listen carefully when someone is talking to me. It can be a stranger, it can be a friend, it can be a family member. I will listen to you. I think it is important to make eye contact, because imagine like you're looking at your phone and someone is trying to talk to you. They might think that you're ignoring them. So as soon as you make eye contact, that they know that you're listening to them. I do both. I listen to understand and to listen to respond. But it depends what you're telling me. There was never a time when someone asked me and I gave an irrelevant answer. Usually when I don't know how to answer something that you ask me, I just tell you that I can't answer that, or I don't know how to answer that.
Greetings. My name is Prissy Ziba. I am from Brixton Primary School. I am a good listener and I love taking instructions from whoever that is older than me. I don't feel good when someone that is my peer age tells me what to do, and it depends whether I like it or not. But I mostly take instructions from my teacher and my mother. Learning, taking and giving instructions. Thank you.
Hello friends and happy Monday. Today let's chat about the significance of following instructions from your parents, teachers or friends. At school in particular, being able to follow instructions is a crucial skill to possess. It may seem challenging at first, but but it's like using a map to uncover hidden treasures. It leads to exciting discoveries and adventures, just like how a recipe helps a chef create a delicious dish, or how game rules ensure everyone plays happily. Instructions act as a secret code guiding us along the way. Now let's talk about some of the positive aspects of following instructions. By following instructions at school or home, you may often learn new things. Picture having a toy that comes in pieces and you have to put it together. The instruction manual guides you through building something amazing step by step. When you follow those steps, you not only create something incredible, but also understand how things come together. It's like solving a puzzle and feeling proud of your accomplishment. Following instructions from your parents and teachers can only keep you safe. For instance, when you cross the road, you remember to look left, then right, then left again, just as you were instructed. Following these guidelines help you avoid danger. Instructions act as a superhero's guide, assisting you in navigating challenges safely. Following instructions teaches you to collaborate effectively with others. Imagine constructing a tower with friends. If everyone follows the plan, the tower will be steady and impressive. Listening to each other and following instructions make teamwork enjoyable and fulfilling. Together with your friends, you can create something greater and more remarkable than you could alone. Whether at school or home, following instructions is similar to possessing a superpower. It aids learning, staying safe, and fostering teamwork. So the next time someone you trust provides you with instructions, remember they are guiding you on an exciting journey.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.2 FM in Tohoyandou. The Market Update, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m.
Want to stay ahead of the financial game? Join us tonight from 6 to 7 p.m. for an insightful journey through the day's market developments, financial updates, and investment news. Tune in for your daily dose of financial intelligence as we navigate the twists and turns of the financial landscape with expert insights. Only on the SAFM Market Update.
SAFM Market Update with Jimmy Muyaha.
EFF goes to court over Parliament's white shirts and Nigeria's power grid collapses again. Good afternoon. The EFF has brought an application before the Western Cape High Court seeking an order which, if successful, seeks to pave the way for MPs who've been physically manhandled by Parliament's protection services to sue for damages. The party, which is no stranger to forced removals from Parliament, alleges in papers that they were violently removed by the so-called white shirts from the 2015 and 2017 Sonas in a manner that was unlawful and unconstitutional. Kani Mapanga reports.
At this stage, the court is not tasked with questions related to constitutional damages, as that will be considered in Part B of the EFF's application, where it will look to hold Parliament responsible for the payment of constitutional damages flowing from the unlawful conduct that the applicants seek to establish in the current hearing. The question, which will be at the centre of the hearing, is: was the conduct of the Parliamentary Protection Services unlawful, and that the removal of the applicants was executed in a heavy-handed, violent, and gratuitously aggressive manner? Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Johannesburg.
4 people have died while extensive damage has been caused to roads, electricity and water infrastructure after a severe thunderstorm caused flooding in the Margate area in KZN. Disaster management teams are busy clearing washed away trees from roads where the flooding has also caused sinkholes. The Weather Service has issued a level 5 warning that more severe thunderstorms can be expected along the coastal areas up to Durban until midnight tonight. The spokesperson for the Rain Kunyeni municipality is Simon April.
Search and rescue missions are underway.
Right now we have just retrieved 3 bodies. It is that of a male, female and a child. We believe that they were trying to cross a low-lying bridge, but their vehicle was washed away. They were washed away and we found their bodies near a river along the N2 highway. We have just received the news that at Ward 29, 1 person died after being struck by lightning.
Former Free State Premier Ace Magashule, and now the leader of the African Congress for Transformation, has lamented the arrest of his former PA, Rwadi Chalota, in the US over the weekend. Magashule and 17 co-accused, including several companies, are accused of corruption in the asbestos roof removal contract. Chalota, who's studying in the US, is believed to have refused to become a state witness. Magashule has described her arrest as harassment.
It's tragic. I think it's painful. In a foreign country, the person they said was a state witness, the person they forced to implicate me in the case. Now they are charging an innocent person because it's harassment, it's part of harassment. Maybe she will give in and do this and that. They can have any witness against me. They will never find anything wrong I've actually done. Because it's a political trial and the Americans and their spies are exposed.
Start of the initiation season in Mpumalanga has been delayed to accommodate the upcoming elections. This to give prospective initiates eligible to vote to do so before embarking on the ancient tradition to manhood. The president of Contralesa, Khoshila Mekmokwena.
Therefore, we have decided as Contralesa to say all initiation school this season will not commence before elections. We are calling upon all those who are having permits to defer any commencement of their initiation schools until after the national elections. We are calling upon our colleagues, traditional leaders, and all those who are responsible in giving permits to monitor adherence to this call. We know it's not much to ask. Our boys will still go to the mountain after elections.
Nigeria's power grids collapsed for the 5th time this year. This has highlighted the country's inability to provide reliable power supply after raising tariffs for wealthier consumers by 230% 2 weeks ago. The head of the Nigerian electricity regulators defended the tariff hike, saying it will mean an end to grid collapses and bring investment into the sector. Top story, the EFF has brought an application before the Western Cape High Court seeking an order which, if successful, seeks to pave the way for MPs who have been physically manhandled by Parliament's protection services to sue for damages. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Khus.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
It is the incomparable Simpiwe Dana coming through with Gia Gia. That is how we enter the second hour of the show. A beautiful track. I don't think I've heard her perform it live. And I've caught her in performance quite a bit. It's no secret that I'm a sort of an outed dinosaur, as her fans call themselves. But I don't think I've caught her perform this live, or perhaps I've just missed those moments, when she's done this. By the way, if you've never gifted yourself a Simpiwe Dana experience, you absolutely must. And I think whether or not you are a dinosaur or not, if you're just an appreciator of music, the next time she takes to stage and performance, and we've spoken to her around, Moya, her production alongside Gregory Maqoma, which has seen about 2-3 seasons now. It was in Cape Town towards the end of the year. It's definitely a show that you would like to take in. I just think from a perspective of appreciating musicality and also appreciating a good performance, a well thought out, well curated performance evening, it's definitely one to behold indeed. All right, we are going to take a quick break here, and then we are going to welcome in our guest in studio. Papama is in the house. We're talking all things creative. We're looking at the business of fashion from a stylist perspective. It is Mondays after all, and so on Mondays we sometimes have a career focus, and we like to engage all kinds of careers, not just the mainstream ones. And then on the other side of this, we're also going to wrap up the show with a conversation that looks into the groundbreaking platform that empowers SMEs. But that's coming up in just a moment. It's just gone 2:10. We'll be right back.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
The Commissioner made a point about rebates and refunds, which I think has particular interest for the audience. What did he say?
No, he provided that we paid out in total 414 billion rands in refunds in total. And a large portion of that, 120 billion, he indicated that it went into SMEs. He indicated that there's about 37 billion that went to individuals. We know that these refunds are very important in an economy that is highly constrained. And the Commissioner spoke to about 53 billion rands that we stopped in VAT refunds that were either fraudulent or intended.
Johnston Makubu, the SARS Deputy Commissioner.
The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
The Saturday play.
I don't know what you're talking about now, Pramay.
You think you're clever, ne? Look at me. Huh? Are you happy?
Hey, Pramay, I have to go now.
You're not going anywhere, son.
Come on, Pramay. Catch me, on the Saturday play. Stop twisting my arm, Pramay.
I want to teach you a lesson, sonny.
Pramay, please, man. Just leave me alone, Pramay.
Hey, sonny.
Catch the Saturday play between 9 and 10 p.m. Only on SAFM.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105 FM in Mokopane. You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Now with stylist Papama Mtwisha. She is a creative director, a fashion stylist. She's been in the business for, over 2 decades now, I think. Or does that disclose your age?
Expose my age, why don't you? Might as well put my ID number out there.
I mean, it's a great run. It is a great run. She is
24 years.
24 years?
24 years. This is my 24th year doing what I'm doing.
What? Wow.
Which has been really nice.
Like, she's okay. 24 years in the world of fashion. She still looks like she's 2, by the way. You can live stream her. We are live streaming.
I did not pay her to say that. Don't pay.
On our social media platforms. We're talking all things fashion this afternoon, and we know that one of the more glamorous titles in fashion, and there are so many, but one of them is, being a stylist, being a creative director, but it also comes with a lot of grit. It comes with a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice, and I think sometimes when we look at the fashion industry, we look at it from one lens and we forget the many sort of avenues and players that are involved within this particular industry. And we thought we'd invite Papama in today for a conversation, a look into her career, her evolution, her growth, and of course, I guess essentially what it means to be a creative director and fashion stylist. What does it mean, Papama?
Oh, that was a lovely introduction, by the way. Thank you. What does it mean to be a fashion stylist in general or in South Africa specifically?
I mean, we can generalize it and then we can hone it into SA.
So I think essentially, or in very, very simple terms, it means that we wake up to make people feel good. Because, when you look good, you feel good most of the time. So that's essentially what it is. So it's working with, obviously the briefs are constantly changing and they're different, but primarily, so I work as a commercial stylist.
Okay.
Not to say that I don't do either type of styling, but my primary job is to be a stylist, and I work in commercial. So I work in for a production agency, and we work with advertising agencies and brands, and we produce billboards, commercials, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. But that's also not where you started, right? Because you started in the glossies, in the magazines, and how sort of different are those two worlds?
Slightly different, there's definite major nuances. I actually started as a designer. I studied and graduated as a fashion designer, but what I did know, as I think I was 18, 19, when I graduated, that I wanted to have, I had a skill that I learned from design school of designing and creating clothes and patterns and all of that. And I knew that what I didn't have was the other side of fashion. So as soon as I left school, actually, whilst I was still at school, I did my internship within a magazine, True Love magazine, under Kani Lomo's tenure. So that's how long ago it was. And that's when my glossy magazine journey started. And I was there for a very long time, and I left True Love, went to work for other all the magazines that were on the shelves at the time, the majority of them, but because I wanted to learn a different skill set every single journey that I took upon, and it's definitely paid dividends, because it's different in the sense that, it's a little bit more creative working in glossies. You create these creative images, and in commercials, it's quite pragmatic with a little bit of creative, but it's, it's about the bottom line, selling a product and making sure that it resonates with its clientele.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if, are there different perceptions in as far as, the various, I guess, categories of styling? Because one would think that maybe glossies would be more fun in that it's more about your creative interpretation of something, whereas on a commercial set you really are restricted to a specific brief and the message the client wants to convey.
Yeah, it is that. I mean, I also think it depends on the stylist, because you do get stylists who would not thrive working within the creative space. They want the mundane or less creative stuff. So it really does depend on the individual. I think that, I mean, as much as I said that I do commercial styling, I still do a whole lot of other type of styling, But what I do on a regular basis is a commercial type of styling.
We are hanging out with her this afternoon. By the way, you can catch her on our live stream platforms on social media. We're on at SAFM Radio on X, on Instagram, as well as Facebook, or safm.co.za if you want to see Papama live and in 3D as we talk the fashion world and the business of fashion. And essentially, I think a lot of people forget that that fashion is a multi-billion-dollar business, and there's so much attractiveness to it. But I wonder from your perspective and, talking in the corridors with some of your colleagues, does the attractiveness and the appeal come more from the misunderstanding that it's just about the glamour, the sort of being seen with the right and cool people, and the work part of it is perhaps misunderstood or maybe not even understood at all?
I think it used to be. There was a major misconception back in the day, with TV shows like, what was it, The Bold and the Beautiful and the Sally Spectres, that only showed that glamorous, the models and all of that. But I think as the transparencies come through and the, prevalence of media and social media, educating people and podcasts and stuff like that, people understand that you can actually run it like a business.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where I'm at. Having been doing this for so long, I was very clear from the get-go, 24 years ago, that I wanted to be in it for the long haul, which is why I actually dabbled in a whole lot of stuff. So even when I was in magazines, when I left magazines, I worked in fashion and music. So I worked with Sony and I styled musician. And once I got enough of that, I worked on TV, but still in the fashion space. Once I got enough of that, I worked in retail. But I still went back to magazines, and now I dabble both in styling and design.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely in the business of it right now, because it's, as much as I love what I do, and I would do it even if I wasn't getting paid for it. I mean, I've got kids now. It's not, I've got bonds and all that kind of stuff. But so I needed to, get a little bit more serious about it and do it for primarily the love. It's very key that you love what you do, especially for me. But yeah, the bottom line does matter. And there's so many opportunities as well, not just from a styling perspective.
Yeah.
There's merchandising, there's obviously design, creative direction. There's so many other things that you can do within the fashion space.
Let's talk about 24 years ago when you decide as, a young girl from the Eastern Cape that you want to get into the world of fashion. And I happen to know, by the way, Papama's, for full disclosure, I happen to know Papama's family and specifically her mom. And she comes from a family of professionals and academics. And she's the only creative in the sense of a creative who works in the creative space.
Yeah.
So when you have that conversation to say, I want to go and dress people. And first, let's start there. 24 years ago, did you have the languaging for what a stylist is?
No, I mean, I wanted to be a designer when I was in high school. And it was towards the end of my high school, actually in matric, because I think it was the subtle pressure of coming from the kind of family I came from. I was thinking that I was going to go to UCT and study chemical engineering. My sister's is in science. She did biochemistry.
Yes.
And she was my role model growing up, and I thought that's maybe what would make my parents happy. But I still don't know where I got the courage to stand up to my parents to say, I actually want to be a designer. And it wasn't welcome. It wasn't received with open arms, obviously, because they didn't understand. For them, it was like, you want to make clothes, you want to be a dressmaker. And what do you mean we put you all, through all these nice schools for you to go and make clothes? And I just stood my ground and I said, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And as much as it sucked at the time, I think it gave me the impetus to actually work harder, because I left Cape Town. I was born in P, but I grew up in Cape Town. So I left Cape Town and came to Johannesburg, which my parents also had an apprehension about it, to be this young girl who's so skinny in Joburg all by herself and to be studying fashion. But it kept me out of trouble. It kept me out of trouble because I did design school by day, and I used to live literally up the road. It used to be called our res was called Broadcasting Court.
Okay.
And I bumped into Bonnie Mbuli, who was doing Take Me Out of the Beat with Glenn Lewis at the time. And I proposed to dress her. So that's what kept me busy during the day. I would get home from school and dress, make clothes in front of the machine and do it. And I had to prove to my parents that this is something viable. And I think when they started seeing my name dressed, Bonimbuli dressed by,
Yeah.
with my name on television every Tuesday at 8:30. They thought, okay, maybe she's onto something with this thing, and yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, and you've morphed and evolved since then, because from magazines where you spent a significant time on, moving to television, moving ultimately to now, in fact, one of your other primary babies is the brand Africa Your Time Is Now, which was birthed from just simple children's apparel, and it's evolved into this entire international made in Africa brand.
Yeah. That is my calling. That is my calling, because fashion for me wasn't just a vocation. I'm convinced, I'm more than convinced now, even as I get older. What I said earlier on, the fact that I had the courage to stand up to my parents, who were quite strict, and I think I even said to them, I'll pay for because they, trying to practice tough love, saying, oh, you'll see to finish, you'll pay for your own tuition at this. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll see, I'll do it. I think there was something a little bit bigger than me at play to make sure that I did. So by the time I birthed Africa Your Time Is Now, it was very much in line with the way I live, which is to awaken. And that's what my only name means, to papama, to vuga, vusa. And that's what Africa Your Time Is Now is about. It was just to remind myself and everyone else who cares to listen that it's been our time. It's our time to just wake up. You know what that means?
Of course I do.
Just please. And just step into our greatness, And so for me, fashion was a low-hanging fruit in order to spread this message, because that was what I'd been doing for the last few years. The last lots of years.
And why? And I don't think I've ever asked you this. Why? When you started Africa Your Time Is Now, you were a mom then, right? 2 young kids.
To one child, I think, at the time.
To one. So did it also start?
No, my youngest was a year. My last born was a year.
Oh, then I wonder, because you started with it being a children's apparel line until Papama felt the pressure from parents, and then you started making it for adults. At the time, did it have any connection with sort of the evolution to motherhood when you started it, or you just thought, I don't know, what was the thinking?
So the message kind of evolved from Africa is the Future, which was not our original message. It's a message that was started by a movement that was started by 2 French guys who lived in Paris. I think now, 15, almost 20 years ago. They disbanded the movement because they felt that the time had come. I emailed them, got permission to print these t-shirts, because I felt that we still needed to remind ourselves of that, being an African who lives in Africa. So I started with those Africa is the Future t-shirts, and this was via my clothing brand for kids called Butter Pudding.
Yes.
And the one day it landed that in order for us to secure an incredible future for our kids, which were the clients for Butter Pudding, we as the adults need to take care of the now. There is no future if we don't take care of the now. Hence the message morphed to Africa, actually not the future, the time is now. And yes, we started it for kids, but the parents were like, nathi siyafuna. So it's been quite organic in its growth, and it's like a labor of love.
I actually like also sort of the what is the word, the morphing of it, right, and the pulling together the 2 generations in the sense, because I've also never heard you explain it from that perspective, that placing the responsibility and the accountability onto parents to say, you are bringing up this seedling right now. And so you yourself need that constant reminder of what you're doing on a daily. And when we come back on the other side of the headline news, and I think everything that we've kind of heard Papama say this afternoon, you get the sense that she very much moves with the energies of life and responds to whatever life direction it's taking her on. And we'll get to find out whether or not that has helped in an industry that's oftentimes cluttered with so much noise, where things can pull you in so many different directions, and to stay steady and stay focused on where you're going and who you are, essentially, and whether or not that actually helps in this world. It is fast approaching 2:30. Greg Gross is standing by with the news. Let's take a quick pause here, and then we'll come back after the headlines.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
Okay, let's talk about e-tolls. What's the state of play there?
1 second before midnight, will officially myself and the minister switch off the e-tolls and making this part of our roads history and ensure that whoever that was not using or was protesting against e-tolls will start a new chapter of rebuilding our roads as not e-toll, but as ordinary roads that can be utilized by anyone, anytime. Whatever moment they want to utilize them.
The Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi. So there we are at midnight, e-tolls finish and cloud.
The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Quick look now at the headlines at 2:30 p.m. The newly elected mayor of the Ekurhuleni Metro east of Johannesburg will this afternoon swear in the newly appointed multi-party members of the mayoral committee. The EFF has brought an application before the Western Cape High Court seeking an order which, if successful, seeks to pave the way for MPs who've been physically manhandled by Parliament's protection services to sue for damages. And the Australian police officer investigating the Sydney shopping centre attacker says the preliminary inquiry reveals that he was specifically targeting women. There's a full update at 3 o'clock.
Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
We are hanging out on the Full Circle today with Papama. I just realized that I don't know how to say your surname.
Sacrilege.
Twechwa is joining us.
Did you just butcher my son?
Twechwa.
Wow. Okay. I don't know who that is, but my surname is Mtwisha. Mtwisha.
I just said it in the Zulu way.
Mtwisha. I've been called worse though. You're forgiven.
I'm forgiven. It's because we're so used to calling Papama by her first name. So, she's one of those people.
Maybe I should drop the surname.
Maybe
like
you should.
Oprah, just like Paps or Papama.
But let's be honest, in the world of fashion in this country, who's ever called you by your surname?
Really? It's just like official documents,
yes.
But really.
People call her Papama and then they take it one step further and they say, Papama of Africa, your time is now. That's become your surname.
Lady.
The T-shirt lady. That's become your surname. Let's also talk about your energy. For people who follow you on social media, people who are familiar with you, they know that you are very much grounded and rooted in sort of the flows of energy, right? You seem very connected to the spiritual and the environmental. And that grounds you somehow. And I wonder how important is that in this industry that's filled with so many moving parts, and oftentimes filled with so many distractions that pull people different ways. Has the essence of who you are as a person enabled you to stay focused to your own dreams and the bigger plan of where you are taking your business?
100%. That's so well put. And first of all, I wasn't aware that my social media gives that away because I'm just busy living.
Yeah.
I'm very clear on the fact that what I do is not necessarily all of what I am about, I live to work and not the other way around. So my work fits into my life and I've designed it that way very deliberately. And what I am at work is exactly what I am at home with my kids, what I am with my friends. Super, super consistent. I do not like stress. Yeah. I hope Vusi is listening. One of my assistants is always going on about, I love being on stage with you because it's just so chilled. And I get that from my clients, from my agent as well, because even my home is very chill. It's the same when people walk into my home, it's like the energy, it's consistent. I don't I've got goosies.
Yeah.
As, I'm saying that. We all human, we all human beings living, having an existence and living. So I am, and be nature. So nature is a massive part of my life. It governs everything I do. So the moon, and I'm not even saying from an esoteric, airy-fairy head in the clouds, even though that's where I live most of the time, but it's not even it's just from a biological, scientific way. We are made of nature, water, and so if we can understand that from an integral point of view, it just makes life a little bit easier. I don't sweat the little things at all. And it's not to say that my life is perfect. It's far from it.
Yeah.
But I'm all about being in flow. all the time. I mean, I spend a lot of time by the ocean, in the ocean, because that's just every secondly, minutely reminder for me of just how minuscule I am in the bigger scheme of things. And that's an analogy for life. Just don't make your stuff as gargantuan because ultimately it just works out in the end. Always.
Does that also come through in sort of the aesthetic of your company, whether we're looking at Africa Your Time Is Now, whether we're looking at the work that you do as a stylist, because everybody has their own signature, right? You look at, what's his name, Lux Law, for instance. He has his own aesthetic, his own signature. And for you, does that sort of the streamlining come through in your work aesthetically?
100%. Very deliberate about that as well. And as I've gotten older and more established in my vocation, I own it. Whereas before I used to be a little bit insecure about it, but it just, so anything I work on, whether it is stuff from my own brand or a client gives me a brief to say interpret this, and actually clients come to me because of my aesthetic, and my aesthetic is extremely reduced, so I'm all about drawing the essence of the human being that I'm working on the subject, for their essence to come out, and what they're wearing is secondary, and it enhances what they're about. So it's very seldom on the work that I work on will you find over-styled. So it's very reduced, very minimal accessories. I never want you to look at a picture that I worked on and say, you know what, this one was just, a picture was shot in 1988. I can tell by the shoulder pads, the big earrings and whatever. You must never be able to tell. I like classic, simple, timelessness is a big thing. And that is informed by just understanding that we are big energies, we are big things. We don't want to be, even with makeup, it's just like as minimal as possible. There's never a need to just hide behind stuff. Just show who you are and be confident in it. And whoever falls by the wayside, falls by the wayside. But ultimately, the right ones will stick around. So, yeah, that's essentially.
And how important is that, Papa Ma? I think from a stylist or fashion designer knowing themselves and that journey to getting to, because you say at the beginning it wasn't like that, So how important is it for you to be in tuned with your own internal voice so that you can eventually curate yourself to get to that point?
I think it takes a lot of work. It does take a lot of self-work, which is what I'm about, just not just with work, even in my relationships and in my personal life. The work doesn't stop. I'm always, I spend a lot of time meditating and listening to my voice and listening to the downloads from God and stuff. So I think it comes with the wisdom comes with time and experience, because, as I said, I wasn't always like that. I did doubt myself, because when I started in the industry, the aesthetic was very much maxim. What is it? Like a lot of everything. Like your work, you must show up, in the kind of work that you do. And for me, it just, I can appreciate it, but it didn't resonate with my soul. So I think as I've gotten older, and knowing that I don't like to chase, I don't need to fit in, to anything. I don't need to.
Yeah.
It translates in my work. For instance, even my Instagram account is private. And I've had a lot of professional, like the agents I work with, like, open your account so that clients can see you, they can book you. I'm just like, the right clients will find me. And I mean this in the most humble of ways, because I am relatively private and I don't want, and actually I seldom post my work on my Instagram. So, but there was that whole thing of you've got to open whatever, and I don't judge anyone who does. It's just for me, it's just like I feel safer this way, and the right people at the right time will find what I do, and so I think it's a work in progress. It's as you get older, as you get more established within yourself and understanding what you're about and the abundance that exists. So work won't run out for as long as you put your best foot forward every single time and show up properly at work. And that for me is my biggest currency. when clients book me, they book me and I give them obviously the talent, but a peace of mind. They know when Papama is on the call sheet, styling we don't have to worry about, because I'm bringing option A, option B, option C, option D. You will never have a reshoot with the work that I do. It's never happened, touch wood. And just because I spend a lot of time and energy on the preparing, and as a result on set, I mean, you've seen on my, I'm always dancing because life must be fun, and just bring the good energy, because I'm not stressing, I'm not having to run off to get what I forgot and that kind of thing.
I love it. And she honestly is like this even in her life. And in our last few minutes or two together, in terms of, there's been an interesting sort of movement in African fashion. I think it's finally found its place. And I don't know the words, the vocab for it, but it almost seems like it's settled into its own authenticity that's not about catering for the tourist eye and the sort of that whole safari version of what Africa is, but it's quite cosmopolitan and quite classic, but with an edge to it and a unique aesthetic to it. And it's taken us a while, but we are there now.
Yeah, and I think that's a symptom of where we at as Africans. There's a renaissance that's been happening over the years, and I think we at an inflection point. Like we're amperda, we're almost there, where it's like, you don't have to define who we are. We're defining it for ourselves. And if you want to, if it resonates with you, take it on, or if it doesn't, that's fine. We don't need that external validation anymore. And it's not just in fashion, it's in music, it's in sports, it's across the board. So I think it's what you're talking about is a symptom of a greater thing that's happening for us as Africans, for sure.
Love it. Africa, your time is now. Papama, I've dropped your surname for the rest of your life.
Thank you. Mchive. What did you call me?
When you have guests that on a personal level, they just kind of like, after all these years, really? That was Papama. She's the creative director of Africa, Your Time Is Now, and of course a fashion stylist, amongst a plethora of other things that she does. Thank you so much for coming through today.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed talking to you.
We appreciated the time indeed. Let's take a quick pause here, and then Ashraf is coming through to let us know what's coming up on this afternoon show.
The Chill Zone with Bertha Charuma.
It's always sometimes people that you least expect. Because, there's a certain type that you can expect. This one is a swindler. Then there's a certain type that really looks like a gentleman. And they give you all the ringing bells that are beautiful. And you become so consumed, so overwhelmed, so dizzy from the affection. You overlook all the red flags.
Okay, Ms. B, what do you think a swindler is going to look like? Because that's exactly what they look like. They look like gentlemen, a successful businessman. They will look like perfect guy. It's actually quite funny. Like, they'll never look thuggish or they're not going to look like a criminal. They'll definitely be looking very smooth. They'll look like Thabo Bester.
You're making me laugh.
Bertha Charuma, Fridays 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Alrighty, Ashraf is in the building to let us know what is coming up today. What is on the nation's pulse?
Well, three big stories. One is what is called the bailout bill, which is about basic education bill. And the AfriForum has said if that bill is passed, well, they'll take that issue to court. So we'll find out all about that just now. In fact, we'll start with that. Then, World War III was trending. So we'll talk about World War III and whether it really is World War III. I hope not. Fingers crossed, right? It's 20 years today, by the way, since the formation of the TRC, probably the most significant of institutions. Well, just how significant it is. We'll talk about that. And a whole lot more, of course, as you know. Fingers on the pulse, on the national pulse, 3 to 6.
Listen, this World War III thing, I don't know, were you glued to the TV and your social media? Because I did not sleep until the wee hours of Sunday morning.
Really? No, I was glued to social media. So, Twitter or the X platform certainly gives me snippets of everything else. And people just WhatsApp.
Right.
WhatsApp is the most powerful driver
It really
in terms
is.
of the funnel than just about any other platform in the world today.
No, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Okay. No, I just wanted
so
to
you
front
slept
row.
late Saturday night. Now
Literally at 6:30. Like in the morning, the sun came out because I was watching to see what happens. But they're saying it's more of a. I saw an analyst this morning on one of the 24-hour news cycles, and he was saying it's more really a Cold War situation versus
Like a
a
threat.
war of aggression.
Well, let me not assume that I'm too clever. That's why we will speak to an expert just now. And that's why
Alright.
you and everybody else needs to be listening in.
We shall indeed. Well, one thing we definitely know, it's the shifting of the superpowers of the world, and we'll only know what the world will look like in 20, 30 years. But something quite interesting is happening there. All right, let's take a quick pause, and then we come right back and wrap up the show.
For over 40 years, people around the world have been spinning and winning thanks to the Wheel of Fortune. Now it's your turn to take the prize as this legendary game show finally launches in South Africa weekdays 7:30 p.m. on S3, plus an omnibus Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. with rebroadcast on SABC2 9:30 a.m. Don't miss your chance to be part of history. Enter now on www.wheeloffortunesa.tv and let the wheel decide your fate. Channel your inner wordsmith on Wheel of Fortune on S3. Open up.
South Africa is facing an increase in people diagnosed with non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, cancers, hypertension, lung problems, and obesity. This also increases the number of people living with these diseases and mental health.
Many people living with these preventable diseases may not be immediately aware unless they go for health screening and testing.
It is our responsibility to invest in our healthier future through regular physical activity, healthy diets, and avoiding risky health behaviors such as alcohol and tobacco use.
The Department of Health urges people to go for regular health screening for early detection and effective treatment if they are diagnosed with any of these conditions.
This message is brought to you by the National Department of Health.
Rewind the years and relive all the action on the A-Team. John Hannibal Smith leads the team of 4 members of a former commando outfit. His plans may be unorthodox, but they're effective. Lieutenant Templeton Pegg, second in command, a smooth-talking conman, and the appropriator of vehicles and other useful items. The team pilot, Captain Howling Mad Murdoch. Howling Mad. His name says it all. Sergeant First Class Mr. T, the team's strongman and mechanic. Join them as they embark on epic adventures and missions, all in attempts to clear their names, weekdays at 12. Channel your inner A-game with the A-Team, only on S3.
The Saturday Play.
How long have you been living with this disease, Robert?
I don't know.
And you continued sleeping with me without using a condom, knowing that you're HIV positive?
Can we talk about this some other time?
No, Robert. We must talk about it now.
Catch me, Vanessa Cook, on the Saturday Play between 9 and 10 p.m. only on SAFM.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Alrighty, we're wrapping it up now with the founder of GHD Consulting Services. In an era where small to medium-sized entrepreneurs or enterprises rather, small to medium-sized enterprises are integral to the economic fabric, Profile SMEs is excited to announce the launch of its revolutionary platform that's designed to transform the landscape for entrepreneurs. And the founder of GHD Consulting Services, Precious Mvulane, joins me now. How are you doing, Precious?
I'm good. Thank you so much for the invite.
It's only but a pleasure. All right, let's talk, around this latest innovation that's geared towards the empowerment of the SME community. Tell me a little bit about Profile SMEs.
So Profile SME is mainly aimed to help the entrepreneur to actually document their challenges. I think for a long time, we've been coming with generic solutions, not the solutions that are based on the actual data, real-time data on the ground. So we're starting with this profile to collect the data, the challenges the SMMEs are actually facing, and with the aim that this will be the start to start also documenting any intervention in terms of mentorship and coaching, including the trainings that the individuals are actually attending.
Now, in all the years, let's just take the last 30 years of our democratic dispensation and our sort of call, the government's call, big businesses call for entrepreneurs to take up space. Are we to believe that we're not really clued in as far as, the challenges perhaps and documenting those challenges that SMMEs face on a day-to-day?
I think we do have an idea. We know that the top three challenges is access to skill, access to market, and access to funding. Mm-hmm. But what we have found has been the environment within the entrepreneurship and industry is changing too fast. It takes longer for them to actually reach out and be able to find someone who's going to help them, which is why this data must be a real live data over time. And we know what are the challenges, but what we are actually failing to make sure is that when they have questions, we are always closer to them. It's not when the program is currently working or when the program is being run.
I see. And this, I guess, speaks to one of your objectives, which is about streamlining services that would speak ultimately directly to the SMMEs.
Yes, that is very important because, one of the biggest challenges we have as SMME, we're a one-man show. And you have plus or minus other business function within your business, and you end up not knowing which one to prioritize. They generally say if you're a startup, the first year you focus on the product, but sometimes you have to prioritize the access to market, but you must have something to show off for. So those are the things that entrepreneurs are constantly begging to prioritize. So through a program like this and a solution like this, they'll be able to also assess the guidance on how they should actually do these things.
Yeah. Tell me, in terms of the practicality of profile SMMEs, who's involved, how are they involved, and how are you going to go about correlating some of the data?
So the plan is that we will collect the data through our partnership. We have been doing this for the past 13 years. We run training programs on a weekly basis, whether it's access to funding or market or even in just development of the business. So we will collect this data over time. We will be partnering, though, also with other funders. Previously, we had partnered with FinFund and SMME Easy and other partners where we are actually assisting entrepreneurs to access funding and also other solutions. But we have seen that some of these solutions are coming out and not integrated to make sure that we can see the entrepreneur from the entry point up to the exit. So that is why we would like to put the information in a centralized space, but also making sure that there's no duplication of effort.
Yeah. And of course, whatever information and data that you then sort of find and interpret from all your work and your research, I'm then presuming that it would be then accessed as a resource for SMMEs to deploy for the future growth of their businesses.
Absolutely. They can finally have a way of saying this is where I started and these were my key performance indicators, because that is also important so that it's going to be easier for them to manage their productivity, but also the way they manage themselves, which is one of the biggest challenges for SMMEs.
All right. I mean, it sounds like an interesting one. Is this also an opportunity for SMMEs to jump in on the project at its initial stages?
Absolutely. It's actually a good thing to jump in at the initial stage because we're not charging for the SMMEs to actually profile themselves. Okay. And we're aiming that after 6 months, after the the launch that we have done will have also capability statements that come from this data, because as they are completing and this information, it should be able to assess on where they are and how can then leverage that information to say, okay, this is my capability statement that I can issue to the market. And they can share that with their clients using QCR and so on.
Is there a portal for those, who sort of tick all the brackets here to follow perhaps and get more information from you guys around Profile SMME?
Yes, there is. It's profilesmme.online.
Profilesmme.online.
Yes,
all right. And that's
with
got
an S.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. And that's got all the relevant information that anyone could possibly need at this stage.
Yes. Definitely. Thank you.
Lovely stuff. Precious, we appreciate the time with you. That was Precious Mvulane, founder of GHD Consulting Services. You heard this is an innovative platform that's geared towards the empowerment of the SMME community, and Profile SMME is pledging to turn the tide on how businesses navigate their path to success by really just collecting and correlating data, ensuring that they specifically identify specific challenges and burdens that are faced by SMMEs in order for them to document the necessary interventions. And you can, at this point, participate in this by visiting Profile SMEs. So profilesmes.online is where you'd go for this one. Just drop the second M in SMM. So this is profilesmes.online is where you go. That is how we wrap up the show this afternoon. We thank you so much for choosing to be in conversation with us. We appreciate the time that you afford us every single day between 1 and 3 o'clock. Ashraf Gada is coming through and is going to clue us in and tap us into the nation's pulse between 3 and 6. From myself and my team, we will see you tomorrow, inshallah, God willing. There'll be lots more for us to talk about.
sustain, life we attain, and when we gone, let the music play on, that alone remain, let it play on and